Hi everyone, this is Mr. Glasby, and now we're talking about thesis statements. What is a thesis statement, and how do you write a good one? So the most important part of an essay is the thesis. It's what you're going to be arguing. It's, for lack of a better word, it is the theme of your essay. It's the thing you're going to carry all the way through your introduction, your body paragraphs, and your conclusion. Every time you make a piece of evidence, you should be backing up your thesis. So it is incredibly important that your thesis is done right and essentially done first. Now, a thesis statement is a statement that sums up your essay's main theme or your main argument or your main analysis or your main explanation, and you'll be sticking to this, and you have to stick to it throughout the entire important essay, so you've got to nail it. And a good thesis statement does a couple of things. It's specific. Okay, it covers only what you're going to cover. It doesn't bring in outside ideas. It knows what kind of essay it belongs to. If it's an analytical essay, it's an analytical thesis. If it's an explanation, then it reflects that. You may need to revise your thesis statement later on. You might find that all the evidence is pointing in a different way. Fine, whatever. That's not a problem. And a good thesis also occurs within the first 1 to 3 lines of your introduction. So a good thesis statement is a thesis statement that is specific, knows what kind of essay it belongs to, and sometimes can change depending on what happens. And here are 3 example thesis statements. And the first one is, in Youth, Joseph Conrad uses foreshadowing to strengthen the plot. Okay, and that's a bit of an explanation. They're going to explain how Joseph Conrad in the book Youth has foreshadowed. In The Mask of the Red Death, Poe uses the symbolism of the stranger, the clock, and the 7th room to develop the theme of death. Okay, so that is another, you're explaining how symbolism. And John Updike develops his characters in A&P through his use of figurative language. Again, a bit of an explanation and a little bit of analysis. Now, for us to take your thesis statement to the next level, you're going to want to say stuff like belonging or discovery or whatever your main concept is. What does that say about the human condition? Discovery can be rediscovery, right? Be a little bit more specific than that. But if you go that discovery can be a process of rediscovering things that you had thought were lost. That's an all right thesis. It's not completely bulletproof, but it's a good thesis to begin your work, because what it does is it gives you things to back up. So as you go through your body paragraphs and your topic sentences, you're going to back up that thesis. Okay, and it's concept driven rather than text driven. These 3 that we've got here in the example thesis statements are text driven. If you're studying a concept rather than the text becomes the evidence for that concept. A little bit of a mind bender, a little bit of a mind blower, but if you think of it in the terms that you're that in the English that we're studying, we're looking at a concept and how that concept is shown through these texts. The texts become the evidence for your thesis statement. So your thesis statement wouldn't actually directly reference a text. It would say something like, the concept of something, or the concept of physical journeys, or the concept of discovery means that people can have varied different journeys or very different discoveries depending on where they come from. That's just a really rough out of the blue one there. So, okay, to sum that up, your thesis statement is an argument that sums up your essay's main theme, has to do with what you're talking about, it's specific, knows what kind of essay it belongs to, and you may need to revise it. Okay, to write your thesis statement, look at the quote and try and change that quote into perhaps your own words. If you've got a question, rewrite the question as a statement, because that there will help ground your thesis statement.